The CDC sent Dr. Laura Berman in to do a 3-year study. Their samples showed no harmful chemical above the standard, but ours showed that we were off the chain.
The Michigan Department of Environmental Quality holds a hearing concerning Detroit's wastewater treatment plant in southwest Detroit. The plant's sludge processing equipment put too many pollutants into the air, so the public gets to comment on the violations.
I really feel disheartened about the process.
Teresa Landrum has lived in southwest Detroit all her life.
There's no notification to the residents when there is an exceedance of a dangerous emission.
Here's RHONDA Anderson, who's with the Sierra Club.
We've been to literally, I'm going to suspect hundreds of these permit hearings, especially in this area.
And that's DELORES Leonard, the leader of the group.
How is that going to impact the workers, some who are here tonight? I thank you.
3 environmental activists working together for nearly 2 decades, trying to convince the government to do more to protect their community.
You know, in the 50s and 30s and 40s, that's when African Americans started to really move into the area.
When you look at it, it's all economics. And we, as I keep telling people, we are collateral damage. We're in the way.
Who has the ear of MDEQ? Do you think they're listening to a bunch of poor black people as we've been identified, or Latinos, or people of color, or, No.
This most southwestern part of southwest Detroit, inhabited mostly by African Americans, an area known as 48217, the most polluted zip code in Michigan.
This little diagram here, it shows all the industries within a 3-mile radius that's located around my zip code. This little black outline, that's 48217. Industry, 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 heavy polluters.
At the University of Michigan School of Natural Resources and Environment, Professor Paul Mohai and some others have been studying 48217.
These are the 8 most polluted zip codes in the Detroit metropolitan area. And except for this one out here, they're all congregated around 48217. And not only is it among the 8 most polluted zip codes in the Detroit metropolitan area, but it's the most polluted based on the data that we used from the toxic release inventory.
This is what we call the black side. When I was growing up, all of this was segregated. So this was the only area that black folks could live in.
RHONDA's taking University of Michigan professors and students on one of her toxic tours of the neighborhood.
So the fish seem to be doing good, but I would eat the fish.
They're looking at all sorts of heavy industry: steel mills, oil refineries, the wastewater treatment facility, and the coal-fired power plant by the river.
The emissions that go into the air eventually fall somewhere, and weather patterns generally go from west to east. It makes sense that the air pollution is getting into the Great Lakes and to more local water supplies.
I've been doing these tours for probably 15 years. And really, they are so damn depressing. It's like, when do we win? When do the people win? All you can do is talk about the bad stuff.
Along with the industry comes the exhaust from trucks passing through. A lot of them headed up I-75 and over the bridge to Canada.
All of those trucks, they back up on the freeway, diesel emissions, and they have an impact on the people's health as well.
The trucks create sulfur dioxide, bad for your lungs, and soot from diesel exhaust is not good either.
Some of the stuff is so fine it can't be seen. We're breathing it every day. So therefore it's locking itself in our lungs and all over our body.
Marathon's oil refinery has been here since 1930. It's grown a lot since then, making gasoline and other things like asphalt, propane, and sulfur.
I taught myself how to read a permit. When Marathon in 2007 applied for that expansion, and other companies since then, I have taught myself to sit down and read.
When we went to our city council, And when Marathon asked for a $2.2 billion expansion, they wanted to extend their footprint into the community. We came out in force to object. But before we could even get to the table, the deal had already been done.
The expansion made part of the area unlivable, leading to the buyout of a whole neighborhood. Homes were leveled, grass planted, but many more are still here, still nearby.
Part of the problem for Marathon, they just look ugly. You know, they're massive, they're big, they sit there in front of everyone, you know, and so that's what people concentrate on. No one is kind of looking over here at nasty DTE, that coal power plant in River Ridge that was actually putting out more poison than even Marathon.
Someone asked, have you tested the soil? And so the results came back contaminated with, you
arsenic
name it,
and lead, heavy arsenic and lead.
Fluid.
The pollution goes up, but it's locked in. Then when it rains and the rain catches a lot of pollution, it comes back down and go into the soil. So I wouldn't trust putting a garden in these days. And I wouldn't suggest eating anything that came out of a garden.
At one point, the activists started knocking on doors to rally support.
One of the things that came to life was just about every home we visited, someone had died from cancer, or someone in that house had cancer.
Then they wondered whether anyone else noticed what they were finding out.
There had never been a question from the state health department, any state agency, to what was the impact on those residents in those areas. It had never even been considered, never.
We have a toxic soup down here. The cumulative impact, that study that we have been asking for, because Marathon emit a certain amount of different chemicals, DTE emit certain types of different chemicals, US Steel emit certain types of different chemicals, AK Steel emit certain types of chemicals. What is the byproduct of all these chemicals mixing into the air? If one is toxic, then they find out two is toxic. When you combine two toxic things, isn't that a toxic monster?
The problem is, even with all the factories holding their emissions under allowable limits, add all those emissions together, just how toxic is 48217 now? The activists are still trying to find out.
My question is my child's health less important than your job? You know, where I believe we have the technology, we have the science, we have everything we need right now to have both a good paying job and a clean environment.
The group concedes that in the past it did not play well with industry or government agencies. Now they're trying to build relationships to get things done. Last fall, the MDEQ installed an air monitoring station behind the new Mount Hermon Baptist Church with help from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency.
This air monitoring station being put in 48217, that is monumental, because I really feel that we're one of the first communities to ever have this done.
I think it's important for us to know what we're breathing. I used to work for BASF and in the automotive coatings division, so I'm aware of toxins and what they can do to your body.
I'm testing for SO2, which is directly related to man-made industry, acids found in the air. We're also testing for metals and particulate, specifically 2.25 micron, and VOCs, volatile organic compounds that are found in the air as well.
The monitoring is planned for only a year. After that, who knows? The EPA is on our new president's chopping block.
We're certainly hoping that our funding will remain the same so that we can continue to do the air monitoring work here in Detroit and throughout the state of Michigan.
75 miles up I-75, Flint found itself in the national spotlight with its water crisis, something that might bring more recognition to the problems in southwest Detroit.
Some of the same toxins that were discovered in the water in Flint are actually in the air in this community. And so it took what happened in Flint to bring notoriety to the battles that we've been fighting in the 48217 zip code.
Teresa Landrum's mother and father died of cancer. Her sister was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 24. Her aunt lives a few streets away. She has cancer too.
I'm a cancer survivor. I got cancer. I've never smoked, used drugs, or drank. I'm in this fight to save somebody else's life if I can. I do it because I love my community. This is all I know. This is all I have. If we as a people, we as a government, we as human beings can work on that problem, I'm sure we can solve some of it and give our children, which are our future, a chance at a better life, a healthier life, a livable life.